She's like, her clients will call her, ask her questions like, anything happened in the market? She's like, well, if something happened, I would have just told you, wouldn't I? I was like, what? She's like, yeah, my clients want me to do like walkthroughs like you do in the video. She's like, I'm not paying for that. I'm not a hooker. I don't need to do this. The house will sell this. I'll do the pictures, but I'm not going to do videos. And I'm like, but videos get more traction because that's statistically shown. If a house has a listing video, it gets 400% more traction than if it's just pictures alone.
Welcome back, everybody, to the DC Talks podcast with Mr. David Chinelli. We're back for a brand new episode, guys. And you know what time it is? It's that time of the month where we give you a market update of what's going around the GTA and the surrounding areas. We're going to be covering things that have been going on with the interest rates, things that are going on with the supply, demand, and inventory. It's that time of the year where things are like, not slowing down, but it's November, December, and, DC is going to give us the lowdown what's been happening the past month. And
I am.
you're the expert, so he's going to give you the lowdown, what you should be thinking about, things that are coming up, and kind of like forecasting a little bit for 2026 if there's an opportunity to do so. But you're in for a treat, some numbers we're going to get through. And let's get started. DC, how you doing, man?
All right. A little sore today, but that's all right.
The nice little workout in the morning?
Yeah, I played hockey last night.
Save some pucks.
Oh, yeah, actually, I had a good game last night, believe it or not. Yeah, we played well. Yeah.
Nice. So
got hit in the head again. I got to be careful of that, So I'm worried about concussions and with my brain surgery a few years ago, I actually got hit in the head a bunch yesterday, like 3 or 4 times. Like one really hurt.
But puck, eh? The vibration when it hits you?
Yeah, because we don't have a lot of padding, but like it was weird. It was a bang shot, so I didn't really see it. Like I saw it like out of the corner of my eye, like it was a patch from the back, and my head was already turned. I couldn't turn it to face it, and it hit me on the side of the head, and it's kind of vulnerable back there. It was sore, so. Yeah, I'm not fogging anything today. I woke up in the morning, thank God, so everything's good.
Everything's a blessing. Everything's a blessing. So, report just came out. What can you tell us about the recent market update, DC?
Not a surprise. We're continuing. It was very similar the month of October compared to September, which is kind of surprising for a couple of reasons. One with the interest rate cut, we thought that we had at the end of October. We knew it was coming at the end of October. We predicted that after the first cut in September, the Bank of Canada usually doesn't just cut once; they cut back to back, and they did. They followed suit. Not sure what's going to happen in December. I don't know if they're going to cut again. But it's not the interest rates. So even with the interest rate cuts, it wasn't like there was a flood of activity happening in the market. Average sale price was flat, actually $5,000 on average less than it was in September, which is kind of surprising because September started off slow because we assume people were waiting for that interest rate cut. And then you've had 2 interest rate cuts and it didn't really affect the price. It was pretty flat. But there was some sales, which is good. But compared to the years in the past, it was not fantastic. And we're seeing a lot of headlines about, like people like only like 34 or 45 units sold in Toronto this last month. When you see headlines like that, guys, again, the 45 units, those are pre-construction units. So it's overall, if you want the real numbers, for example, if you look in the whole GTA, I think the condos there were over 1,700 sales. So when you see headlines, it's just like I always have people like when I message or I'll do like an article and I'll talk about that. The last time it didn't specifically say pre-construction, and one of my realtor friends messaged me. He goes, "What are you talking about? Like there was 1,500 sales." I was like, "Shit!" The article didn't mention, like we forgot to mention it was pre-construction.
That's what articles do, right?
Of course,
supposed to get you like a little bit riled up, get you like, "Whoa, what are you talking about? 45?" I mean, it's such a
it did its job because I had people reaching out, going, "What does this mean?" Right?
I mean, the journalists did their job then. Like,
of course,
they got your attention.
Yeah.
Like one thing about the 45, right? Pre-construction sold. When you think about the entire GTA, that seems like such a small number compared to like the density of like what the Toronto market represents.
Are so many projects getting canceled right now? It's ridiculous. Or builders. Remember, so builders sometimes will buy a piece of land or buy a property and they'll develop it. They'll go through the process. That's what we call all the red tape. They'll talk with the city how much they can build, how much density they can build. And a lot of times what they'll do is like some of them will already had projects ready to go. They'll launch them, but they need like 70% sales before they can put a shovel into the ground for most of these projects to fund it, right? And they're not seeing those sales. So there's 2 options, actually 3 options. One of the options that the builders are doing are like, they're just waiting. We're like, we own the lot, if they already have renters, like a lot of times it's commercial properties, let's say, like they'll continue, like they'll extend the commercial properties a little bit longer and say, we will wait for the market to come back. We have the plans ready to go when we see the market come back. We have the luxury time. So you pay, if it's a vacant land, you just pay the taxes. This is what the companies at Greybrook does. This is what they do all the time. They bring in the builders together and the investors, and they own the land. And anyway, they do that. The second option, they can just cancel the project and just wait for another day. They go back. So they will return. So if the project's already launched, they can launch to see what it's like and see how much, if they can get close to that, 70% occupancy or 70% sales. And if they don't get that, after a certain period of time, this happened in the Cloverdale Mall, which is just, where that is at East Mall and 427 area. It's close by. It was supposed to be like this big project. They only had like 10% sales, I believe it was. So they canceled the project. And then when they cancel the project, they can do revamp it. They can wait. They can continue doing, as is. They can sell the project to somebody else. There's other options. But what we're seeing now, and I have one of my clients, and I said this last time, she works for a big developer. They are switching their condo sales now to purposeful rentals. Now, remember when we had Nick Stilo was here, he's the developer, and he talked about he's been doing this for years. Well, they're going to take his plan. So if you're doing purposeful rentals, you may be eligible to get, CMHC, Canadian Mortgage and Corporation funding, whatever it is, CMHC. You can get funding for them to pay up to, for them to fund 95% of the project. So it is very attractive to some of these developers that aren't going to make sales. So, and I know this one company, they've already converted 3 of their project into purposeful rentals. And again, the government wants that.
And for those who don't know, can you remind them what a purposeful rental is?
A purposeful rental is, so it's like a condo building, though they do the same process, but instead of selling each individual unit, they will rent those. The condo, the owner, the developer, or will either hire a property management company or they will be the management company, and they will own the building and they will rent it out. The building is all rented.
Will there be opportunity for those units to be able to be sold, or?
That is a question. I don't see that right now. It depends on what the developer wants to do. Who knows, right? Maybe in the future, if they find that the market's gone up, maybe you can sell some. I don't know. But right now, they're just shifting gears. They're trying to navigate this. And some developers are still choosing to sell, and not have purposeful rentals. And I was going to segue, we're talking about this. I don't know if you saw the article I posted using my AI. I posted the other day, and and I got a good response through Instagram, and it was talking about how developers, and this other thing, they're trying to, the ones who want to have sales, they don't want to do purposeful rentals. They're trying to incentivize a lot of buyers. Now, that's what I say. If you have a realtor, it's a good idea to talk to the realtor first. Don't go into the office, because they can negotiate beforehand, and they're given things like luxury, upgrades, or they're giving you less deposits down. Differently, if it's a condo, parking, locker, you can negotiate on price. If you just walk in there, they won't help you at all. They'll just say, "Oh no, this is the price." They don't think you know any better, right? So if you want to buy pre-construction, talk to a realtor first. They can get you discounts. That's our job, right? That is our job. If you walk in, well, most of the time, for example, some projects, if you're working with a realtor, will pay us 4%. So say it costs you $600,000, they're going to pay the realtor 4% of that, right? $24,000 to me, right?
The building would pay 4%.
Right. The developer pays us sometimes 3%, 2.5%, 3%, 4%. It depends, right? So I'm just giving an example. A lot of the projects back in the day were 4%. Well, if you walked in off the street, they're not giving you that 4% as a discount. They're still charging you $600,000. So you might as well hire a realtor to help cover your back and help navigate it, because they're not going to give you any of that discount.
It's like when you walk into a car lot, not knowing anything about a car. I mean, you're at the mercy of the salesperson.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. So if you have I don't, not to seem like sexist, but your husband who might know about a car, and let's say typically women don't know much about cars.
Ooh. I don't know. But that is not my opinion at all.
Do not blame DC guy. That's all me. But I'm just trying to say, when you lack knowledge about something, if you bring someone who's more knowledgeable about that particular thing, you have the upper hand, because you can actually go back and say,
of course. Well, that's why using a realtor, that's why in this kind of situations, you're not paying for the realtor anyway. And they don't get it. When you're buying a project, you're not paying for a realtor. So you might as well use them even if for pre-construction.
Do people know this though? I've
been saying it over and over again. I don't know if people listen to me, but I've had so many times clients walk in, I'm like, dude, cancel that. Let's go in together and let's see if we can get you a better deal. It happens. We figure out a better deal for them. 90% of the time it happens, right? Or I'll do something personally for them too. It's like, hey, if you're already doing this, let's do something else. So there's always a way around, if you're working with a realtor, for them to help you out. Now back to this, these developers. I was posting this article which got people, and some people are outraged by it, and it's like, well, this tells you how much money developers are actually making. There was a project in Woodstock. They were giving away 500 grams of gold, which is worth around $45,000 if you're purchasing. Now, these are not condos; these are like houses, right? Or semi-detached. Yeah, they're like low rise. They're like town. I don't know if they're townhomes. I know they're detached or semi-detached. So maybe you're paying $1 million or $1.2 million for these, and if for certain because they're coordinating with Diwali, and like the festival lights, and I think that's what Diwali is. And they're giving away to a certain amount of people. Yeah, like gold bars,
Like actually straight up gold.
gold bars.
As an incentive to buy.
Yeah.
Why would they need an incentive to buy?
Because projects aren't getting sold.
So
So that's what I'm saying. So developers are trying to be creative how to bring you in. Now, would you prefer knock off $45,000 off the price? That's up to you. But imagine getting a gold bar for $45,000. You put it on your pillowcase and living on your bed. Well, now you're in Toronto. Make sure you're not getting broken in. If you live in Brampton, God help you. the crime has gone through the roof.
Just let them in. Let them rob you. That's what they're saying.
But yeah, like I had read this article. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Is this actually happening right now? And it's sure enough, yeah, there's a developer.
Are people biting on it, like with the gold, or?
I don't know. It was just an article, so I'm not sure. I haven't I literally just posted. This was posted I think it was from Blog.to. So maybe in a week or something like that, we find out if they're actually following. It didn't say in the article people are actually buying it, but the idea was to highlight how things have really changed in the past 5 years, not even 5 years. Well, I would say 5 years, especially with pre-construction since COVID, basically, and. Before COVID, oh my God, it didn't matter what project you had on there. People were paying it was flying. But now we're seeing because the prices have dropped and people can't afford to close, the value of the property now is a lot of times are lower than you purchased in pre-construction. It's causing issues. So that's why developers are they're changing strategies.
So is this a sign for more of these incentivized strategies for developers, especially you're talking about 45
Absolutely.
units being sold so far? How far do you think developers will go to move units? Because it's
again, it all depends on their incentive and if they need to sell units or not. How deep are they into a project? If they're just launching a project, and they it's not a good idea. But if they've already launched and they're getting close to sales, they may incentivize. A lot of times they are incentivized to get that extra push. So imagine you need 70% sales, and you're just stagnant. You can't get that extra 10%. Of course you're going to give incentives. Why return 60% of the funds if we only need 10%? So let's incentivize other people. Let's throw in something else. And that's as buyers right now in pre-construction right now, in those, I would say not so much condos, but for houses and things like that, there are some deals out there. Yeah, and some of these houses, and I was watching another realtor say, and it was funny. She's like, you can buy a pre-construction home for some of these less than resales. And you can, have it's developer products and stuff too. So you have to add things to it. So, but think about that. You can kind of customize some of these projects, as much as you can. Think about it. In communities, think about it. They only have 4 or 5 different models, or maybe 7 or 8 models. So your house is unique, maybe besides your next door neighbor, but it might be exactly the same as somebody else. There's only so many tweaks you can do, maybe interior. But I think a lot of times people that purchase properties, some people don't like that cookie cutter look. Other people don't give a shit. They like it. It's good value for the home. It's functional. They're nice homes. Don't get me they're not building 1,000 square foot houses. A lot of these are 3,000 square foot, or bigger, nice properties, right?
One of the things you touched upon a while back is how pre-construction could be a dangerous investment, meaning some projects don't get finished. They get delayed. People are, putting assignment sales for these properties. Do you think the 45, units being sold in pre-construction is reflective of that certain fear that's happening?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And a lot of I think the units are being purchased aren't condos, right? And that's the biggest. So with the developer, they have to sell a large amount of units in condos in order for them to sell. When you look at houses, it's a different story. So I believe most of these 45 units or 40 units, wherever they was, were mostly low rise. They weren't condos, right? The other thing is now is also since COVID, there's a pushback for the size of the condos. what developers were getting away from, like we're getting into, are like these micro condos, right? Like 300, 400 square foot. Yeah, exactly.
They have like the big pillar in the middle. Like you ever
Yeah.
seen those like
Oh,
condos?
it's
Like it's
horrible.
in the corner. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is so.
But back when like 5 years ago, maybe and longer, people are just trying to get their hands on any kind of unit. Didn't matter the size, didn't matter what. Look how much it's changed. And now those ones, the ones that are having the biggest problems with this, not the assignments, with the appraisals, are those shoebox units. Like those are having a huge problem because nobody wants them right now, right? They're not being rented. You know, with the pushback with all these, like the lack of, I would say the lack of support from the landlord tenant board and the governments are forcing people to not want to have rental properties anymore. Plus, lack of income, and we have unemployment rate is increased, right? So people are losing their jobs, and also you got to remember with the international students as well as immigration, they've cut back on that. So we have less of a populace renting the properties. Then you have renters or landlords with these properties are like, they're just trying to unload them. And majority of them are like these smaller units. So when you look at, for example, the amount of inventory we have right now in the condos, let's just see I don't know if we had that number there or not. But the amount of inventory, I think the lack of sales, I think 70% of the units were condos, I think in Toronto. A lot of those are smaller units. They're not. And my wife would always say to this too, it's funny, she's a stager, and when you have like even nice condos that are priced well, they look great, they're selling if they're a good size, right? And that's naturally what it's happening.
I remember watching a realtor. They were bragging how they were able to get, it was such a pompous attitude. It's like, I can't believe I sold this. Like, look at this. Like, this is how hot the market is. I was able to sell this. And if you look at the unit DC, brutal. I'm like, how do you even set up this place to live in it functionally with all these like awkward angles, the way it's placed, the window, the beam, it's placed in an awkward position. And you have these realtors bragging how people are falling for these units because that's how fast the market was going. And now look at how things have changed.
I wonder if those realtors are still in the business now.
Exactly.
Well, first off, listen, I'm not a huge fan of bragging and things like that. Like, because you never know. Like I always say, like even in hockey, I didn't like bragging because there's going to be a day where you're in ebbs and flows. So you might be you might be at your peak right now, but what happens when the valley hits? Are you going to be as pompous as you are right now? Try to keep an even keel. As a goalie, we used to do that in hockey all the time. Like our team is when you couldn't get it too high because then they get scored and they go down. You can't be riding this roller coaster like that because it's not good for your team. It's not good for your psyche. It's not good for anything. Same thing should happen in business. Business as usual. If you're doing well, continue doing business, because you don't know what's going to happen with the market, if it's going to slow down. Like this year is a slower market for all of us, right? Where there's people that are like, but there are realtors having their best years yet, right? Like last year was my best year besides 2021, where people were leaving the business in droves. And I was like, what's going on here? Like I had a great year. This year it's a slower year for my standards. It's still relatively okay. I'm still pushing try the end of the year. But my point is that you never know. Even the shitty things can happen to good realtors or good people. So when you're shoving things in the face like that, you're just going to rub people the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it gives us realtors a bad name too.
It was such a bad look. It was such an old post, but it left such a bad taste in my mouth. Because
see, this is why I don't want to be a realtor. It's guys like that. Yeah, screw that guy.
They're like, oh, it's like they were kind of feeling as if they took advantage of someone. They got away with the heist. It's like, damn, that was so easy. Like, look at me. I don't have to try. I can just show up and sell this crappy unit. And I'm like, you're supposed to do what's best for the person's interest and what they're buying.
But that's the problem, like with our industry, when people got into it because they thought it was easy money.
And that's when we saw the most amount of realtors come in, eh?
Well, if you look now, and look at this year, right? So we've lost some realtors. I think we're still hovering in the 70,000 mark. And I want to see, do we have the amount of sales we've had here? So right now, the average sale price aggregate is $1,074,000. But okay, number of sales to date. So in 10 months, 53,813 sales for the last 10 months.
Say it again.
53,813
in 2025.
Yeah.
So up to date.
Yeah. So think about another 5,000 sales each on average. So we have 2 more months left. If you took the average, that would be like, another 5,400 sales. Let's call that. So let's call it 10,000. Let's call it 11,000 sales. That would bring you in just under 65,000 sales. It's not good. We have 70,000 realtors. And last year we had 74% of agents didn't sell a home. didn't sell a home. I don't know if they are on the buy side. That was the thing, but 74% of agents didn't sell a home last year. Now you're over here like you're going to have less sales than the amount of realtors. And that's back-to-back years. It's not an easy year. It's not an easy industry. And I don't love this market, but I like it for the fact that the cream can rise to the top. We can actually do our jobs. You can see our worth. I have a listing appointment tonight. I'm up against some other realtors. I like being that. They're not just haggling for like the lowest price. What can you bring to the table? What is it that you do to sell our home? Right. I'm taking over another couple of listings that they're not happy with the realtors because they hire them based on price and they did shit all. Like I was talking to one guy that he moved to Florida and they were going to use me there. He's a friend of a friend and they moved to Florida, but they used one of their friends. And I was like, well, what has he done for you? Like, what's his marketing? And it's like, well, he posted something once for us. I'm like, you've had 2 price drops. He posted something in July. And I'm like, it's November. And I looked on his Instagram and I'm like, so if he's not posting there, where is he posting? He's like, he's not. I'm like, he doesn't do like, so what?
He doesn't do no mailing list, no nothing.
No. And I said, okay, so what is, and first of all, he didn't know any of his marketing. So I'm like, so you have no idea where his marketing efforts are going. I show my clients, like, here's what we're going to do. Like you can see on Instagram, I want you to share here. We partner with Ontario Housing Market. We partner with the 416, forget that with their Instagram. We also partner with my photographer and we pay for advertisement. Plus Elisa's right now, she's on the background. For my listings, we pay for Facebook and Instagram. We're paying $100 per week.
Well, you're putting in work.
Well, of course. But then we also do open houses. Like he wasn't even doing open houses. So we promote the open houses, right? So we clean the house. We stage the house. We do amazing photography. My photography is not cheap, right? But thing is, at the end of the day, like it looks awesome. Like I'm able to share that. Your brain remembers 80% of what you see. So if you have a shitty listing, your brain's going to remember that. I want to be on the opposite side. I want you to make sure you have a great listing that people remember it. There's a listing I currently have right now, and I'm not going to mention which one it is, but I've had to show it a few times myself. They're like, man, you did your job really well. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, this house looks nothing like the pictures and videos that you presented. You made it look so great. I'm like, well, that's my job. I need to get you in. And then if you don't like it, you don't like actual, like, if you look at the, some of the work we've done wasn't the best. It's like, it looks different. I can only control so much, right? But that's our job. We try to get people in, right? And you got to figure out how to get people in. And so he even called them. They just canceled back to the other guy. They canceled that listing. And I was like, so I'm like, just between you and I. So I'm like, I need to know, making sure I don't make the same pitfalls. I learned from other realtors' mistakes. And well, that's some questions I asked him, what do you do? He goes, honestly, Dave, he hasn't even answered me back. I had to call him to say we want to cancel. He didn't even follow up with us. I'm like, at all? Like, he's like, no, we haven't really heard from him. So guys, you're in the service industry, and let's be honest, we get paid well for what we do. Sure, we do market and we sell, but you need to be in communication with people. You need to be in communication with your clients. You need to be in communication with the market, with your colleagues. Are you talking about, like, what are you seeing in this market? You're not just dropping the price just to drop the price, right? Like, I have a listing right now. We're listed $699. It's a great listing. We have no competition. We're not getting a lot of showings. We're like, it is what it is. Like, but it doesn't make sense for us to drop the price because we're priced right. And no one's saying anything about the price. It's the layout. They're not crazy with you. You need a specific buyer. So I know that because I've talked to other people. I'm like, we've had open houses. What's the feedback? We don't like the stairs going upstairs. Well, I can't change the stairs. And some people, well, it's a little smaller. I'm like, what do you want for $700,000? Like, literally, you're getting this thing for $700 a square foot here. Like, what do you want? Like, there's certain things by talking to people to know. So when I go back to my clients and say, well, it's not the price. I don't suggest you dropping the price. They look at me like, yeah, because we not have showings, but if you start cutting the price too early, where do you stop? It's going to be a race to the bottom, right? So be careful of that because the market does see that. So anyway, my point is like, especially in this difficult market, where do we have like 7,000 sales last month? What was it? 6,138 sales, right? You want to be, and that's all the GTA, which is terribly low. You want to be one of those, right? Like, and if you're not one of those, why? What's the reason behind it? Is it price? Is it like what you're looking for? What's the reason for it? And if you're not putting the work in, like, then why are we paying you?
And did you look at the realtor? Like, are they an industry veteran? They've been in the business for a long time.
He works on a team. On a bigger team too.
Like a reputable team? Or?
Yeah, in the area. Like it's out in Barrie, but it's like, yeah, I do sell in Barrie. Yes, I do. I go everywhere. But yeah, it was like, again, I'm not, it's not my listing yet, so you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you come up, yeah, sorry. But I'm just wanting to know, like, It is what it is. If you see the differences, like what I do, like one of my listings right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm like, if I can't get people in, I'm change pictures around. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like the order of this. I try to change things around. We're updating the listing because, we do the open houses. Like we're trying to keep it fresh, but some agents just don't do that. And I actually had a conversation with a local realtor here. She actually lives in Yorkville, pretty girl, but doesn't matter her looks. But I haven't met her in person, but like she looks, I've known her for years. We've tried to work on deals and stuff together. So we're friendly. We know that. And, but she's a big wig here. But it's funny listening to somebody like her. She's like, her clients will call her and she's like, ask her questions like, anything happened in the market? She's like, well, if something happened, I would have just told you, wouldn't I? I was like, well, that's not a great answer. I was looking back. I'm on the speakerphone. I looked at my wife and she's like, that's not a good response. And she's like, yeah, my clients want me to do like walkthroughs like you do in the video. She's like, I'm not paying for that. I'm not a hooker. I don't need to do this. The house will sell this. I'll do the pictures, but I'm not going to do videos. And I'm like, but videos get more traction because that's statistically shown. If a house has a listing video, it gets 400% more traction than if it's just pictures alone. You can mix up Instagram, like we'll do a carousel. Like today we're listing the one we have out listed in close to London, which I partnered with my friend Netta. And, we did the videos, we're sharing on too, we're getting some traction. But I'm like, so I said to Elise, hey, put a $100 ad on it on Facebook, tag her in it. But as well, let's do a carousel of different pictures, things you like, right? Just to change it up. And we'll do that, right? Just so it doesn't look the same, but we're trying to promote you here and we're paying for advertisement in the background. Again, realtors have to understand that. And when you're interviewing, 6,000 sales. Well, a lot of the 6,000 sales, I guarantee most of them are paying some sort of advertisement. Wherever the advertisement dollars are, should ask your agent, where are they going? Are you door knocking for the area and then you're paying for flyers to that? That's fine. Are you flyering the area? Are you doing open houses, spending money on that? Are you paid for advertising on social media? Like, where's my commission dollars going? Like, what are you paying for? Every time, and if you're only basing things on price because they're doing it for 1%, there's a reason. Or if they're listing your home for 99 cents, there's a reason. There's a reason why. If you're going to get cash back on the buy, it's because they're not very good at their job. Like, I'm sorry. It's facts. So based on that, yeah. So we're looking at the overall market, and you're seeing there is a lot of bad listings out there. It's no wonder right now we're on months of inventory. We're at 4.5 months. Again, months of inventory tells us if no new listings came to the market, how long, if the current sales trend continued at 6,000 sales, how long would it take for all the inventory to sell? And that tells you what kind of a market you're in. Anything around 2 to 3 months or less is a seller's market. Then gets equilibrium 3 to 4 months, depending on whose scale it is. But we're firmly in a buyer's market right now, and it crosses. And if you're in a condo market, you're laughing right now. So. Condos, I will give you, your agents, I will give you some slack. I just took one of them off the market. It was priced right, but then somebody just came in and dropped their price with a comparable unit to ours by $100,000. And my client's like, nope, I'm not selling for that. He didn't have to buy anything. So we're like, that's fair. Take it off the market. We have another one too, like we were the best priced, and then we had the two comparable units drop just $25,000 less than we are. None of us are getting showings, and it looks awesome. We're doing all the videos and paying the advertisement. So when it comes to condos, guys, it's a little bit of a different animal. So you can be hard on your agent, but I'll be honest with you. Like, it's just one of those things. Buyers are taking their time. And if it's not larger units, like even the larger units aren't selling. There's sometimes no rhyme or reason behind them, right? Even my wife was saying too, like the property, I was saying earlier how it's funny how some of the properties that get staged look good still sell, but there are other ones which are priced well, and even she's sitting on inventory, and they're like, what's going on there? Like they're not selling. So that all being said, the condo market is a different animal. It's hard to navigate. It's very hard to navigate. So that's why I say to buyers, it's like, if you've been waiting for an opportunity for so long, first, you're using the excuse that the prices are too high. Well, now in certain areas, like overall in the GTA, prices dropped at $660,000 for a condo. Overall, think about that. In 2022, the average sale price was $716,000, right? So I always laugh at the Mississauga. Like same idea in the Toronto market proper, you're looking at just under $700,000, where it was $740,000. But I think the biggest one is the Mississauga market. Yeah. So Mississauga's average sale price is $530,000 for a condo.
Yeah, one
Where
bedroom. This is one bedroom.
no, they're all condos.
Yeah. All average
Average
condos. I
condos.
see.
Where this is what I'm saying. This is where, like, if you look at Mississauga, here's an opportunity. So again, average sale price $530,000, down 9.8% compared to last year. In 2022, the average sale price in Mississauga was $648,000, $118,000 more than the curve. Well, that's my point. And I actually do have a client looking at Mississauga. I'm trying to get her the deposit together. And I'm like, you got to figure this out. We don't know how long this is going to last. So back to the pre-construction. So we're saying before, we know that they've turned off the taps. This is why there's an opportunity right now. And the opportunity for condos, I think it will last at least a year and a little bit longer. And why do I say that? Well, it's like right now we have a lot of inventory with condos. It's going to take a while for the demand to satisfy it. But we also had a whole bunch of projects come to the market in the Toronto and the GTA. So that's why the inventory is high. Some people can't afford them. They're putting them back on the market. You got assignments. That's going to take some time for it to satisfy. So that right now, because the inventory is high, we have run it downwards still for price point. And it's evident here, like places in Mississauga. But we know that that's going to get satisfied. Demand is going to get satisfied. And what happens when demand gets satisfied and no new projects are on the horizon? Supply is drying up, and then we know it's going to revamp. So we're at the tail end of a 5-year cycle for the condo market. And I anticipate the condo markets continue to slide, maybe bottom out within the next year, which will put you to early 2027. So you do have a window of opportunity. You don't need to buy today. I would like you to buy today, but I don't know how much lower the prices are actually going to get when it comes to condos because there's no new market coming to the market. So one by one, every month that passes, there's going to be less and less inventory coming out.
Mm-hmm. So is it like a reflection of buyer confidence? Because what I'm hearing you say is that we have all these units available. Construction has stopped because like no one's buying. Lending rates are being adjusted, but still the confidence is still like
it's a number of things. Yeah. So you have confidence issue because of what's happening all over. Like if you look at Canada, they're calling us a communist country now. They're calling us like we're in a recession. Like there's nothing positive I've heard about what's happening in Canada, including there's also a problem with our unemployment. Our unemployment's increasing. So if you have people losing jobs, unemployment is increasing. Yeah, and their GDP is decreasing. So the amount of money you're earning isn't. So inflation's increasing. So the amount of money you're earning isn't keeping pace with groceries. Now you might be losing your job, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's all of those kinds of things. What we do need, and I know Ben Tal from CIBC was saying this, we need Carney to grow some balls and actually negotiate a firm number with Trump. But him kissing ass right now, and I forget his Trump's chiefs of staff said something along the lines. He's like, Carney's got to stop kissing his ass because he's going to drag this on longer and longer. It's not what he needs. You understand, Donald Trump is a bully, and he's bullying Carney right now. And that's from his own side. That's from Trump's own side. They're saying this. So the point is, they're like saying so. And Ben Tal was saying on his side, he's like, the CEOs of Canadian companies need to know what the tariff number is. We don't care if it's high. Well, of course you care, but it's like, but they need to number. They can right now they're at a stalemate because they can't make any decisions moving forward unless they know that number. So think about that, right? Like you can't hire individuals, you can't fire individuals. A lot of it's a status quo. You're not building inventory. You're not purchasing like land or facilities. You're not also decreasing because we don't know if that if the tariff rate is going to be impeding on, if it's going to harm your production, right? Or maybe it's low enough that it's status quo. All they need to know, all that the CEOs in all of Canada, which gets affected by the tariffs, we need to know that number, figure it out sooner than later, do your job, and let's move forward.
But he's just like, he's not making any moves at all.
Have you seen any positive things coming out of Carney?
No.
He's just lucky we didn't have another election because he had some people cross the floor for the PCs to the Liberals, so his budget passed. But I don't hear any positive things. And even my friends that are Liberals, I don't hear them chirping in my back. Once in a while I'll post something on Instagram about like I stopped posting political stuff because I don't think it's going to do us any good. But once in a while we'll post something and they're not even chirping back at me. I think they know too.
They know. There's no, like, you can't like fight this anymore.
And I was laughing in the beginning when they were talking about how Carney was, like, oh, he's just, he's playing around with them. He's like, he's just letting him like let Trump talk himself, talk about 51 state. I'm like, no, he's He's letting him.
Trump is serious.
He's serious. He's rolling over you. I think now. I think people realize. I don't think it's a joke anymore. We have to wrap up. We're way past.
I was gonna just ask you one more question.
Sure.
As we look ahead now, like this was like the recent update. Do you see, in your own educated guess, do you see any changes happening between now and the end of the fiscal year? Yeah.
Yeah, I still think that November is going to be strong. From what we've seen over here, I'm having a better quarter this quarter than I had last quarter, believe it or not. I still see there's still active buyers. The weather has, although we hit snow, it's not been terrible. So that weather really does affect the Toronto Real Estate Board for a number of reasons. We've said in the past, houses look better, but you can check like the ground is not frozen, so you can see if there's leaks. You can see the roof. People are also not miserable. Yet, we are lacking sunlight, but like it's not as miserable.
Darker soon.
Yeah,
so your limited hours of operation.
The end of January and February is miserable. But no, I think the end of this year I think November is still gonna have a positive push. I wouldn't be surprised if let me just see, like last month here, I wouldn't be surprised if we do better than last year when it came to November. Remember, the reason why we thought this year was going to be a better year is that we had a push at the end of November and December of last year. So we're like, this is great. It just didn't work out the way we wanted to. So if you looked at last year, let me see the amount of sales. Yeah, so October of last year. Oh, this is Toronto. Sorry, I was doing a market update. So we had in October, we had 1,700 sales, and it dropped in November to 1,100 sales. That was just for detached. Is that right? No, sorry, there's new listings, not sales. Where's sales? Oh, sales volume. Here we go. Yeah, it's much less. So sales volume in October, November, it was 813 October, which was great. And then it went to 680, which is normal for in November. So it's still a pretty strong showing. December dropped to half of that. But anyway, we thought that at the beginning of, again, those are Toronto, just detached. I already had this available, guys, because I'm doing a market. I was doing a CMA, we call it a competitive market analysis. So I like to go granular, go right into the type of home and the area you're doing. And because otherwise to just use GTA numbers, it's too broad. I want to get specific to your property and just want to know what's happening in your area.
Amazing. Well, guys, hope you got some value out of that. If you have any more questions regarding the numbers, what's coming up in the market, or you're just looking to buy or sell, DC's information will be in the bio. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the DC Talks podcast, and follow us on YouTube at David Chinelli Realtor. We'll see you next week for a brand new episode as we unpack more about the business model degeneracy, and you're going to be in for a treat. We'll chat to you soon. Bye.
See you guys.